Back in October '74, the issues were pretty much the same. England were attempting to qualify for the European Championship. They didn't make it. Will Glenn Hoddle go one better? We'll hear from the England manager. Scotland didn't qualify either for the finals in Yugoslavia, despite the efforts of the then Celtic striker Kenny Dalglish. This afternoon they're up against Estonia. We'll speak to the current Celtic striker, Darren Jackson. Believe it or not, the only British side to qualify for the last 8 were Wales. It might be asking a lot of Bobby Gould's men to emulate the feat as they take on Denmark. One man featured back in '74 was the Southampton manager, Laurie McMenemy. 24 years on, we put the spotlight back on Big Laurie, now in charge of Northern Ireland. It's amazing how things change. In those days, Manchester United were playing in Division 2. Different now, of course. We'll profile one of their modern-day heroes, Roy Keane. Amongst a number of guests joining us here at Ascot today is the man who started presenting Football Focus and did it for over 20 years, Bob Wilson. It all began after a successful playing career at Arsenal.
I'm known as Big Willow. Well, that's a super way to start.
What do the letters, Bob, RSVP stand for on an invitation card?
Well, it's Responde S'il vous plaît, which is reply.
Very nice.
Very good.
Have you had a transplant? Because you got more hair now than what you had 15 years ago.
Lots of criticisms in lots of areas. Why is it you are so unpopular within the game?
Where is home to all of you in Japan, obviously?
Office, my work is
Oh, you were so close, Bob.
Well, are you enjoying this?
Hey, enjoy.
Enjoy?
Hey, enjoy.
That's good. You stitched me up there.
If he'd run at me like that, he might have got the hand of Bob in his face.
Wilson came out, slipped, ended on his bottom, but managed to get his hand to the ball.
Some great memories there. Big Willow. Yeah,
Big Willow.
I better not ask
Still
you.
Big Willow.
Is it? Well, I'm sure it is. Once a Big Willow, always a Big Willow.
Quite right.
Can you remember what it was like in the early days? I remember as a small boy watching lots of features on goalkeepers.
Oh, no. If you're thinking about how it was like for me, Gary, when I, in '74, stepped really out of being the Arsenal goalkeeper to presenting Focus, and then it wasn't just VT, we had film, which they called TK. And I promise you, the very first time, Brian Venner was in my ear, the producer, and I was waiting to be counted down into this film, and he suddenly, in my ear, I heard this, "Run TK," and I said, "Pardon?" I actually looked around. I had no idea. You know, it was a case of trying to carry on.
Yeah, technology's moved on, though. It's a bit easier nowadays.
I think in certain areas it's helped. I always found, you know, obviously the ad-libbing situation. You know, very early on, again, for me, I was asked to say that a player was injured one day and passed a late fitness test, came out as pistolate fatness test, which was a problem.
There's still a few players who do that,
I actually
though,
didn't believe that until I saw the tape that I'd actually said that.
Now, what about football itself? How have you seen that change? I mean, it's such a big boom. Could you have envisaged in the early days?
The salaries are different from when I played.
From when I played, no,
yeah,
just finished.
Yeah, no, they've changed dramatically. The pitches have changed. They're wonderful. The grounds are wonderful. There are all sorts of things about the game which are great. I wouldn't agree that the matches are that much better. I don't agree with that statement. I heard that a few weeks ago. That's not the case. Any generation had great football matches, and hopefully that'll continue. Well,
one thing you must have noticed is how much more difficult it is nowadays to get access to players, to get them to do things. I mean, in the old days, players would do anything to get on the telly.
Leicester's indoor market bustles on a January morning with the kind of atmosphere that's made it one of the most popular in the Midlands. Its speciality is fruit and vegetables, and that's where the Lineker family come into their own. Gary occasionally helps out, much to the amusement of customers and other stallholders. But unlike his younger brother Wayne, Gary is no market trader.
It's a bit too much like hard work, and at this time of year it's much too cold.
What about the atmosphere here? Do you like the market?
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere. I used to enjoy it when I was a kid, working in summer holidays and at Christmas time and what have you. It's a bit special, Leicester Market. I think it's supposed to be the biggest outdoor market in Europe.
Is he much good at the store?
Well, I think he can be if he wants to be, but it's too early in the morning for him.
It was too early getting up this morning as well, but it's amazing the ridiculous things you do. I mean, pretending I worked on the market.
I had a similar one, Gary. They put me once on sitting on the crossbar. They actually, I did it.
Was that during an Arsenal match?
No, not quite. It was even more difficult down below.
We saw you dancing with fish on your head. What was
that was in a World Cup. That was in '82, I think, in the World Cup in Spain. Yeah, I mean that's a good example. That's almost as bad as you and your hair.
Yeah, I think I've aged well, and so have you. What about the marathon there? You wouldn't do that
The marathon
again,
you picked out, yeah. I was always worried that in 20 years at the BBC doing Grandstand and Sports Night and Focus and all those sort of things, everybody would only remember me for being the guy who for 13 years ran alongside people. That one you picked out there was certainly the most memorable.
Now, what you should have done was ended your career in Japan, then you'd have learnt enough to ask him properly and he'd have understood.
We share something there, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Well, Bob, I know you've got to rush off because you're going to the England match. You're working later on for the other side. But thanks very much for coming.
Nice to see you, Gary.
Cheers. Well, that's enough nostalgia for the time being, at least. Let's look ahead now at an important few days for Glenn Hoddle. On Wednesday, England are in Luxembourg, but before that, as we've just mentioned, in a couple of hours, it's Bulgaria at Wembley. Ray Stubbs reports.
A Buckinghamshire Bridge Club enjoys a ground share scheme with Glenn Hoddle in the run-up to Wembley Internationals. With selection cards close to his chest, yesterday the England coach opened with news that Adams and Anderton needed fitness tests and called for his reshuffled pack to play a winning hand today.
Well, we know we want to win the game. We know we're demanding that out of ourselves. And as professionals, when you haven't done a good job, when you've lost, you want to put that right. We've had to wait some time to put that right. And that's, it's been a determined streak right through the camp this week, whatever the team we put out. So, we're looking forward to it. I mean, 2 days after Sweden, I couldn't wait for this game to come round, quite frankly, and, I'm glad it's coming tomorrow.
The Bulgarians were Hoddle's opponents when he made a goal-scoring international debut some 19 years ago.
Here's Hoddle.
It was England 2, Bulgaria 0 that day. A poor World Cup and home defeat in their first Euro 2000 qualifier suggests a repeat result. But Hoddle also had the danger of complacency card up his sleeve.
You can't really assess them off the back of that defeat at home against Poland. They tried a youthful side. They put youngsters in there. Since then, the coach has changed. They've brought the old guard back. They've brought the experienced players back in. And I think it's going to be a different Bulgaria than certainly the team that played against Poland.
With Beckham and in suspended, David Batty is hoping experience outweighs lack of match practice. Jamie Redknapp wants another opportunity to further his international career after 2 years of injury setbacks.
So I missed out in the World Cup, which was, disappointing. But hopefully now I can make up for it by having a, good Euro 2000 and hopefully getting us to the finals.
Bounce back is a phrase that's been heard several times over the past 5 days. No slip-ups is another. And Michael Owen is hoping to give a home crowd something to get excited about.
It seems as if every England match is away from home to me, so I've only played got 2 caps at home, so it'll be nice to come back to Wembley, hopefully in front of a full house, and put on a good show.
After the defeat in Stockholm, the flak flew Glenn Hoddle's way, but not fair has been the reaction from within the England camp.
Everybody's behind the boss. Everybody wants the boss now to be the boss, and everybody turns up for the squads. Everybody wants to play, and everybody's behind him, and it's up to us to get the results. 2 results in the next 3 days, and the boss is top man again.
The players have got to take their responsibilities as well, because he picks the team, and once we cross that white line, then it's up to us to get the right result. And we didn't do that in our last game. And we should be judged on that as well, but we've all held our hands up and said, look, we weren't good enough in the Sweden game, but we've got the ideal opportunity to try and put that right now.
For sure, victory today and next Wednesday alters the appearance of the Euro 2000 landscape. It won't wash away the detractors of the England coach, but it will dilute their case. Glenn Hoddle is aware he's assembled some robust critics since the World Cup.
Do you feel as though you're getting a fair crack of the whip of late?
Ray, I mean, a lot of the stuff what I call outside of football. You know, we lost the game against Sweden. If anyone wants to criticise the performance and criticise me personally, that is fine, and that's just criticism, and I learn off that. If anyone wants to talk about, you know, books and, you know, vitamin injections and God knows what else, if they want to say I'm sleeping on the moon, then quite frankly that doesn't affect me. I'm 40 years of age. I've experienced a lot. What does annoy me and is detrimental to the cause, if you like, is when it affects young men of 21, 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds who have got to try and prepare for big, you know, international matches, and things are written about them, and which has happened in the last 2 years, and that concerns me because it's the players that need to be 100% focused to go out there and perform to their very best. That concerns me. Now, if it means them having a pop at me instead of them, I'm happy with that. I don't mind that. But I think at the end of the day, it's you know, my concern when it comes to the players. There has been a lot of baggage. There's been a lot of things, you know, ridiculous things being written, which have been non-football related, and they've also been way off the target of the truth. I can live with that. You know, that's a part of this job. There's been a couple of things that I've had to react as personally because of principles, where I've had to get my legal people involved. I don't want to do that. You know, it's the last thing I want to do, but I've had to do it because I've got my own principles, and they've gone over a line where I've drawn it. Other parts of it, you know, it's been quite humorous in many ways because it's been further from the truth.
Do you think, to a degree, in areas like faith healing and vitamin injections and areas like that, do you think that people have a natural? Do they get scared of what they don't understand?
I don't know. I mean, let me just explain a little bit about the vitamins and whatever. We would never do anything unfloral or outside of anything legal, you know, any drug. I mean, I saw a headline of a World Cup drug sensation last Sunday it was. I don't even know what paper it was. You know, and that can be further from the truth. And when you read the story, it's about the vitamins that we're putting into... Them vitamins have been put into German players for the last 20 years. How comes in this... When I was a player and in the early 70s, how many times you hear people say, them Germans, they come back at you, can never get rid of them. You know, you're 2-0 up and they come back and win 3-2. Well, they were on them type of things then. And we were playing them with a steak before the game and probably a belly full of beer. Now, what chance have you got? Now we've cottoned on. Now I went abroad and I experienced what I experienced in Monaco, and I worked with the same guy. You bring these things in, you know, at international level, and slowly but surely, like, you know, you're trying to open people's minds. The players knew how they felt, how good it was for them. We knew that we were preparing the right way. If people have still got their heads in the sand, I won't lose any sleep over that. But I know that the way we prepared for the World Cup was as good as any English side have ever been prepared for. And I think that the result of that and the proof of that is how we played with 10 men for, you know, an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes in that game against Argentina. You couldn't have done that. We wouldn't have even taken them to penalties if we weren't prepared like they were prepared.
Well, maybe you're suffering from the fact that people that don't understand about vitamins and don't understand about what Eileen Drury might be able to bring to an individual, maybe they get scared by what they don't know and react accordingly.
I don't know. Maybe they just see it as a way of having a go at me. Have you thought of that one?
Now, one man who's seen plenty of managers getting grief, England managers getting grief over the years, is my next guest, Jimmy Hill. Jimmy, thanks very much for coming in today.
Pleasure.
Where do you stand on the Hoddle debate, the great Hoddle debate we've now got?
Well, I stand, I think, like most people, really, unless you're actually writing for one of the tabloids, just hoping that England do well and can put on a performance like the performance they put on against Argentina. Really, I stand as a patriot. I want to see them do well. I don't want to see them not qualify, which well could be the case, having lost that match in Sweden. So I'm supporting Glenn Hoddle, you know, as you know, a citizen of this country. That's not the objective of the newspapers. They are there to sell themselves and be sold. And on that basis, they will do anything, they will take any line, they will destroy any manager. We've seen it happen with every England manager along the way, if they feel like it as a means of boosting circulation. So if you understand that, you then have some sympathy for whoever is England's manager, and don't necessarily believe that he's an absolute failure. But if you look at the real situation as well, England have got to wait their ideas up at the moment against Bulgaria.
Right. Need a couple of good results. And he's got the problem, the discipline problems. We've seen it, you know, with Di Canio and Hartson, but England too. There have 2 red cards in the last 2 matches. Apparently, we hear Lasseau might be left out today, presumably for disciplinary problems. Yeah. It's a problem, something Glenn's got to look at.
The fundamental problem, though, is nothing to do with newspapers or Glenn or anything else. It is that we do not produce enough players of the Gascoigne quality, if I may say so, because in his absence, and I'm not saying that he should be in the team or anything like that, but without him, have we any other midfield player who can change the way in which a game is going? You know, lick a player, take 1, 2 on, and make something happen. What we tend to have produced, because of the pattern in our league football, is players who play 1- and 2-touch football and play it neatly, don't lose it, don't take any chances. And that's putting an enormous strain on the strikers, however talented they are, you know, to make openings. So that is a real problem, but you're not going to get that discussed in a paper, are you? You're going to get the fact that abuse Hoddle, faith healers. I mean, I'm not too keen on the faith healer idea. I didn't have him when I managed.
But it's not the big issue that they're making out to be.
How I managed Coventry without a faith healer for all those years, I'll never know, but I did manage it, yeah.
Plenty of vitamins. Yeah. Jimmy, if you just stay with us just for a minute, because Jimmy, of course, has appeared on Football Focus as a guest on numerous occasions, but one man who's actually presented the programme is, surprisingly, John Motson. He also claims to have come up with a title. Here he is with Ray Stubbs.
Motti, you came up with the title Football Focus, is that fair?
Well, it's a good story, but it's got a bit of truth in it. 1974, when the late Sam Leach, who was the guy that brought me into BBC television, he gave up what used to be called the Football Preview, and Bob Wilson, who's 2 seats away from me here, came from Arsenal to present the programme, and they wanted a new title. And yes, and I did suggest Football Focus. Some people would say that's the last contribution I made to the programme, Ray.
Never let it be said. Now, Focus represents football over the years. What sticks in your mind? Because lots of things have changed.
Well, the worst day for me was obviously in the snow at Wickham, which no one's ever let me forget.
You've been through a few sheepskins over the years, haven't you?
Yes, I had the sheepskin on, and I was supposed to be doing an interview with Martin O'Neill, and the match was called off because of a localised snowstorm, and I had to deliver the news to grandstand viewers in Focus, wearing the sheepskin coat, and somebody unkindly took a photograph from behind the camera, and of course it's now used quite often when people want to sort of send up the commentator, so to speak.
You probably know the date, but I won't ask you.
No, I can't remember.
Big day at Wembley today. How do you assess the current England side and what Glenn Hoddle is trying to progress with them?
Well, I think we'll get 6 points from the next 2 games. And I'm sure that the BBC viewers who watch the highlights on Wednesday night from Luxembourg will feel a lot more relaxed about England's situation when that game is over. I see no problem at all with the qualification.
Well done, Motti. You made another contribution to Focus.
Thank you. Yeah, second one. Thanks, Ray.
Well, we might just get a glimpse later on of Motti in his sheepskin. But, Jimmy, I'm surprised you never thought the title of Football Focus. You did everything else in television, haven't you?
No, I'm quite prepared to, you know, I know my betters and superiors, Mr. Motson there, and he's now reminding me I'm giving him a copy of my book. Yeah. Because he did make a contribution. He's the only one who could remember what took place in Spain in 1982 or whatever it was. I can't.
We have got a lifetime in television. Well, great memories from you.
Well, the best, the World Cup winning in 1966. I wasn't playing a very big part for BBC then. I was a pundit of some sort, but I was also manager of Coventry City at that time. And I can remember standing with the late Joe Mercer when England won at Wembley, with tears streaming down both of our cheeks because we just didn't believe that it could happen, and were so, you know, enjoying it so much, really.
I mean, I don't know how you do it. You've been going 30 years longer than Grandstand. You've got a book coming out, a documentary as well. You're an amazing man, Jimmy, and it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
Thanks. Now, anniversary or not, we're still going to have some action in the first part of our Premiership roundup, starting with the Leaders Villa at Coventry.
How would that be apparent?
But I'll go this year for Chelsea.
Oh. Is this what they call an incredibly drive?
Are you actually planning to get any more animals, Chris?
Well, the one animal that I always did want to have was a small dwarf crocodile.
but I'm having a bit of trouble with the local council over that one for the licence, so I might have to wait a little bit longer for that one.
Harry, good afternoon.
Gary, how are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for joining us. You must have been delighted at the start.
I was. Not so delighted with this sprinkler coming on, though, suddenly.
It looks like
just
it's going
soaked
on
me.
your head.
Just soaked me.
But there are some players who are settling in the English game and they maybe take a little bit longer than we maybe expect. But
We're having a nice shower here, by the way, from the pitch. Nothing ever goes straight forward in my interviews, I tell you.
That's the most important thing, I think, winning.
Well, I mean, Corky's easy sort of...
It's good to see you're in control of everything at Upton Park at the moment.
Yeah, the sprinklers have drowned me and out of your loudspeaker system. It's all going well so far.